Today we are diving into a hot topic that's been on our minds for years. Why isn't solar power everywhere yet? We've got some eye-opening insights to share with you, so welcome back to the channel and stay tuned. You might be wondering, solar panels have been around forever, so why aren't they dominating our landscape? It all started back in 1979 when President Jimmy Carter installed solar panels on the White House roof. But the real question is, why after all these years is solar power still not as widespread as we would hope? Many of us assume that the high cost of solar energy is the main culprit, right? But actually wrong. The game has changed dramatically in the last decade. Solar power has become incredibly affordable. In just 10 years, its cost dropped by a staggering 90%. Now, utility-scale solar arrays are the cheapest option in town. So, how did solar become so affordable? It's all thanks to something called learning curves and virtuous cycles. At first, solar was only used for satellites. In 1956, 1 watt of solar capacity cost a whopping $1,825. But as more panels were produced, their price dropped, paving the way for solar to become a reliable energy source. But why hasn't solar completely taken over? Well, it turns out fossil fuels have their own challenges. Fossil power plants need costly mining fuels to operate, while sunshine and wind are free. This means solar and wind can keep getting cheaper as technology advances. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We are breaking this down into two sections: rooftop solar and utility scale solar. Starting with rooftop solar, the first challenge is installation costs. Policy experts often underestimate rooftop solar because it can be up to 3 times more expensive per watt than large utility-scale projects. But here is the kicker: rooftop solar doesn't compete for land or harm ecosystems, and solar panels are so affordable now that it just makes sense. The second challenge, soft cost. These are the administrative headaches like permits. Navigating permitting requirements across thousands of local governments adds time, cost, and friction. And third, electric utilities can be obstacles to rooftop solar. Some utilities don't want to compensate homeowners for excess power, adding insurance and fees that deter investment. Reason number 4. More than a third of American households rent, so they don't have the incentive to invest in solar. Now let's shift our focus to utility-scale solar power. Renewable energy is on the rise. In 2019, 72% of new energy capacity came from renewables. In the US, renewables are taking over, but not as fast as you might think. That's because the energy industry is deeply rooted in fossil fuels. Utilities often find it more profitable to keep existing fossil fuel plants running, but the times are changing. The cost of building a new renewables is competitive, and that could reshape the energy landscape. But it's not all about the cost. There are tangible barriers to widespread renewables. Sun and wind are intermittent, and sometimes the best location for power generation have few people. Our aging electrical grid struggles to distribute the power from renewables over long distances. Solutions like energy storage and improved transmission system are possible, but require massive investments. In the end, the cost of not transitioning to renewables could far overweigh the cost of transition itself. So there you have the flux. The solar power has come a long way, but it's still in its journey to widespread adoption. The future looks bright, but it's up to us to keep pushing for a solar powered world. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.